The Gospel appointed for today is from St. Luke chapter 19, the first 10 verses. Here it is. Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through it. A man was there named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but on account of the crowd he could not, because he was short in stature. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to see him, because he was going to pass that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today." So he hurried down and was happy to welcome him. All who saw it began to grumble and said, "He's gone to be the guest of one who's a sinner." Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, "Look, half my possessions, Lord, I will give to the poor. And if I've defrauded anyone of anything, I will pay back 4 times as much." Then Jesus said to him, "Today salvation has come to this house, because he too is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek out and save the lost." Zacchaeus was a despised tax collector. He was very rich and he was fascinated by Jesus. So much so that as he wasn't very tall, he climbed a sycamore tree so he could catch a glimpse of him. From that vantage point, he received the call of Jesus to come down because he wanted to stay in Zacchaeus' house that day. He hurried down and welcomed Jesus into his home. But we should note that the request came from Jesus. He asked to be invited. Such was the effect of being with Jesus that Zacchaeus promised to give half of his possessions to the poor, and there were lots of them, and to repay anyone he had defrauded. There were lots of those as well, adding generous interest. So a relationship with Jesus led this unlikely convert to start to give and to share. I think there's a lot in this story to encourage us. Jesus does not only address the poor and the outcast in the usual sense of those words. His gospel is for the rich as well. No one is excluded from the call to participate in the kingdom. The condition is that Zacchaeus must stop hoarding for himself and thinking only of his own advantage. The plain meaning of this must be that Jesus does not exclude anyone. If people are excluded from the kingdom, it is because they have excluded themselves. That sounds pretty alarming, but it need not be. As Romano Guardini wrote in his book, The Life of Faith, our task is always the humble and courageous one of listening obediently and acting boldly.